Good evening, everyone. It is Sunday night, approximately 9:30. We're on for a late night story time. You know, when we're not talking about student loan debt, I try to bring you quality content, and I found it this evening. My husband doesn't know I'm pregnant. This ran 8 hours ago today, this Sunday, right? So we're going to go ahead. Let's see what our nighttime tells are about. Scroll this all the way on down. I think yesterday's nighttime story gave someone nightmares. So we will try to make this one a little less scary, but I don't know. I make no promises, people. I make no promises. Let's hit it, and I'm so glad you're here with me.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Lizzie kicks us off in
Hi,
Austin,
Lizzie.
Texas. Lizzie, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for taking my call. I just found out I was pregnant with our miracle baby on Friday.
Wow! Wait a second. How is this a miracle baby? Give us the story.
Because unfortunately, we've had 2 miscarriages in the past 13 months.
Oh.
And we were actually going to start doing IVF. We'll save up for IVF, but
IVF is in vitro fertilization.
We actually got back into the FPU, and we're like, you know what, we're going to put that to the side and let's just tackle all the debt because we have an overwhelming amount of debt, mainly business debt. But because everything is personal collateral, I just think it's all personal debt anyway.
You would be correct.
You're right.
Your name's on it.
Well, congratulations.
It's exciting.
Well, at least it's she says personal collateral. So this means it's secured debt. If you've got collateral, like on a car or on a house, if you're holding collateral.
I haven't even told my husband because I don't even know. I feel like I can't even be excited.
You told us before your husband?
She hasn't told her husband. You know, I've never been pregnant. I don't have kids, so I can't judge why people do or do not tell. Okay, I can't judge. I don't know the emotions and thoughts and process behind it.
You told these 2 clowns and millions of other people before him. I hope he's in a hole somewhere safely that he can't hear this.
When do you plan on telling him?
I'm planning to tell him for Christmas because I do want to. I have this.
Okay, now remember, these episodes can take a few weeks to get uploaded from the Ramsey show, so that's why it's after Christmas right now.
I'm doing the blood work and everything just to make sure everything's going good and that we don't have an unfortunate event again.
Okay. So I can respect that. I don't know if I would call into a radio show to discuss it. I mean, that's just me personally, but I can respect why. Maybe she wants to hold off because they've already had a couple of miscarriages. You know, I can respect that part. I don't know if I would call into a radio show, but that's just me.
I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea to put this out there on the show and then wait until Christmas to tell him.
Well, and I will also say, you know, just personally speaking, okay, I would want my husband to know. Okay. In spite of 2 miscarriages, I would want him to be fully involved with what's happening. You know, but then again, I'm not in the dynamics of their relationship. So I would just, I think if I were the husband, I would want to know so that I could give you support no matter what the third attempt, you know, turned out to be.
I'd sit him down tonight with a smile on your face and say, listen, I know we've been through a lot. You're not going to believe this, but
millions of people on the Dave Ramsey show already know.
Here you go.
I feel like we should conference call him in and tell him right now. That's what I think.
Yeah, I wouldn't wait for the Maury moment for him to go, you are the father.
Yeah.
I'd go ahead and tell him now.
Okay,
but that's just 2 guys' opinion.
I'm actually going to meet him here probably in about an hour before he goes into work.
Yeah, that's a lot for you to carry. That's
how many people at work are going to know she's pregnant before he gets to work? She has kind of a distinct accent. Okay. Some people have, you know, more generic voices. Other people have distinct voices and stuff. And she has a pretty distinct voice.
It's like your little secret for the next 10 days. That's a long time.
I want to get to the debt stuff, but I've got to say, you have got to tell him today before he gets into the office. I feel guilty. Like I'm a mess right now. Our live studio audience is in a gap. They don't know what
freaking
to
out.
do either.
We feel like we've invaded someone's privacy without permission. That's what it feels like.
Don't you all feel like so we should tell this guy. I can't bear this. This burden is too heavy.
The funny thing is, too, is that he predicted it about 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, no, there's no way, and it's too soon anyway. And turns out he was right.
Well, that's where you sit him down and say,
This
hey,
guy called his shot.
hey, honey, your crystal ball was correct. You'll never believe it. Okay,
This
Luke,
is the craziest thing that's ever happened to me on the show, George.
that's pretty wild.
All right.
But it's an honor that you trusted us with this secret
me
and
gather
millions of
myself.
listeners.
Let me gather myself,
Well,
Lizzie.
the
Tell
reason
us.
I feel like we can't be excited, or I can't be excited, is because we have 50.5 thousand in personal bill debt. On top of that, we have $651.5 thousand of business debt that is all tied to our personal.
Oh, my.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man, almost seven, I think combined. It's almost $700,000, and they said, hey, let's go ahead and have a baby. Look, even though I don't have children, and some may say it's not my place to say anything about it, but I am going to say something about it. Okay. This is just the way I was raised. All right. As much as possible, get your ducks lined up in a row. In other words, family planning. Family planning is very, very important. This is how I was raised, not how everybody was raised. Okay. I don't think I would choose to have a baby if I was holding on to almost $700,000 in debt, and there was a way for me to pay off that debt before I had the child. Not saying you have to be debt free. Okay. I don't think that's necessary. All right. Matter of fact, I really don't think that's necessary. You can have a house you're paying on, reasonable car. Okay. Not talking about that. It sounds like, wow, all of a sudden this story is taking a real sharp turn. If a couple has the opportunity to clear out some of the debt before having a child, in other words, it is within their control to say, hey, you know what? We're $700,000 in debt. Let's get let's what was it Dave would say? Gazelle intensity. Let's hold it off for, 2 years and let's just book this debt down. I would not feel comfortable having a newborn. And then don't forget, they wanted to do IVF on top of this. They wanted to do in vitro fertilization, which I, from what I can know, that's in the tens of thousands. So they were, they were going to potentially add that on as well. Now, again, I'm not blaming babies. Let's not take this out of context here. But what I am saying is, if it is within our control to have some sort of family planning, okay, as to when we're going to do it, preferably not doing it with $700,000 in debt. I'm given the math view of it. Okay, I'm stepping away from the emotional end. I get it. All right.
What kind of business debt is it?
Construction debt, and it's anywhere from credit cards to personal loans to the 80% of it is probably friends and family. I say friends and family, but honestly, it's more like loan sharks.
Wow. So she's saying that they're dealing with loan sharks. I understand there's a child coming in, so that it's like I'm looking at it from the responsibility end as far as the math. Okay, wanting to give a child everything you can, and again, like I said, that's not a requirement to be debt free, or in some ways not even a requirement. Some extent to probably be anywhere near debt free, but this is a whole lot. Basically, if they continue with the pattern of we seem to borrow from everybody, because from what I can tell, they've checked off a lot of debt boxes. If they raise a child under the same pattern that they seem to be gathering debt in, even though I know it's for business, I get it. All right. but they seem to gather debt very freely. They're going to have serious problems when the child comes, and they still keep tacking on the debt, and now they've got a child on top of it. If they're, from what I can see, if their spending behaviors, habits, and patterns don't change, they are in a, I might be speaking too soon, but I'll go ahead and risk it. They're in a downward spiral financially. It appears to me, from what she has said so far, like they have no sense of spending control. And people say, yeah, but they're self-employed. You know what? I've dealt with that too when I was married. Okay, it's still not an excuse to get just completely out of control. These guys are sitting, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds $1,000s in debt. Wow.
Well, it sounds like your friends and family made a
those
bad
aren't
investment.
friends.
Yeah, when you're calling them loan sharks, what she is showing, okay, and I'm going to bring her husband in on this as well. Okay, it's a construction business. I assume it's a joint thing, okay? What this couple is showing is they don't make good money decisions. They're showing that perhaps their timing in the decisions that they do make are poor. Not just perhaps poor timing to have a baby. And I know people say, oh, but the blessed, you get a baby whenever it comes. Yeah, I understand that. I respectfully understand that. Again, I will repeat. If you have the opportunity to control when it happens, you have the opportunity to be able to say, hey, we are $650,000 respectively. Okay, $650,000 respectively in debt. We seem to be on an out of control debt roller coaster. We're heading downhill. We'd like to have a child. We have the ability to be able to control to some extent when this child is going to be birthed, all right, all that wonderful stuff. I really think we need to work at cutting our debt down at least by 50%. Okay? If I have to judge, I'm going to say they do things spontaneously. Okay, if I just have to go, you know how you get kind of that feel, that vibe. If I have to judge, I'm going to say these people work without much depth of thought, and they work spontaneously. Because if you're doing business with someone and you refer to them as basically loan sharks, and even though she was kind of chuckling when she said it, there is a sense of truth to it. People don't use that type of vocabulary, okay, descriptive vocabulary, to people they really don't feel like that. I've borrowed a buck or two here from a sibling, and I've never ever once even thought or referred to them as loan sharking, because I never got that impression. And I hopefully, they haven't felt that with me either. But when, she says, hey, we owe all these people and it's loan sharking, that says they will act impulsively. They will take the first thing that comes along. They'll take it without stopping and thinking and saying, hey, maybe we're doing this wrong. Maybe we need to slow down. It's just a thought. Just a thought.
Is this business still afloat? Is it doing well? Where is it?
It is doing well in the sense of, and it's combined debt of my business with my ex business, which is also a construction business.
If the business were doing well, she wouldn't refer to the people that they owe debt to as loan sharks, because she would feel like, hey, the business is doing well. These debts that we took out were, reasonable, necessary for the business, a good deal because the business is doing well. If the business were doing well, she wouldn't tell the internet about the birthing of the child first. She would probably told her husband, because she knew he would be excited. If the business were doing well, she wouldn't say, and I believe she said it earlier, paraphrasing, that, she's kind of stressed about all these bills. If the business were doing well, she wouldn't be calling in to Dave Ramsey listing $650,000 worth of debt. No, the business is not doing well. And you're looking at someone who was married, and my ex had a little home business. Okay, when businesses are doing well, these actions and these thoughts are not taken.
Business, but I keep wanting to sit them down. That's the other issue too, is that I keep wanting to sit them down and talk numbers, but it just ends up being a big ordeal, or we get into an argument and we just can't seem to come eye to eye. And I've showed them like the plan of what because
Okay, so what she's showing us is she and her husband don't communicate. They're not on the same page financially. So yeah, I think we can take the business as doing well and just kind of, I won't say toss it over our shoulder, but for right now, I think we can put it on the back burner. This couple, I'm quickly changing what I think of them. At first, I thought it was, oh, okay, my husband doesn't know I'm pregnant. Maybe we owe a few dollars, okay? Now I'm realizing, okay, husband doesn't know I'm pregnant. I'm scared about the type of debt we have. We hope we have $650,000 worth of debt. And when I try to sit down and talk to him about it, we just get into an argument. So in other words, as we know, what's the number one cause of divorce? One of the number one causes. I think it sits in like the top 2: finances. If you can't discuss with your husband the finances of the household before the baby arrived, how do you think having the baby is going to prove this any? It's just a thought, right? And I can't throw stones because I understand I'm not married with children. Okay. But it has, I will honestly say, it always has kind of crossed my mind. She knows that she and her husband don't communicate well financially. This is not a surprise. She obviously is very hesitant to tell him about the child, even though that too shouldn't be a surprise, but a welcome blessing, so to speak. But should she be really surprised if the relationship ends down the road? See, people like to say, oh, I'm so surprised my relationship ended, but yet the flags were there years ago, decades ago. It just took time for it to really become a reality. See, this is one of those examples. Mine was too. I'm not throwing stones. My marriage was too. Okay? The flags were already there. They were seated a long time ago. The flag here is already seated. This is not a couple on the same page. This is a couple on different pages having a baby with $700,000 worth of debt. So would she or he, the husband, will they really be surprised if down the road the relationship doesn't work out? Wow, these are two last night's bedtime story was on the sort of the same thing, not about pregnant, but the signs that we see that are placed long ahead of us, and as we get to each sign, we just ignore it. Because part of us believes that if we just ignore it, the problem will solve itself. And even if we are smart enough to know the problem is not going to solve itself, we hope and pray that if we ignore it, things can just keep going as they are. But as you'll realize, that time passes and things can never continue just as they are. Things change, people change. This is not a stable relationship financially or between the two parents to bring a baby into.
We started doing FPU again, and I'm doing the everyday dollar. Not only I got the everyday Black Friday deal, a dollar Black Friday deal for the personal finances, and then on top of that, I'm also doing it for the business. So I got two of them.
What's the household income?
This woman, I'm gonna probably have to blame her husband too, but from what I can tell, this couple racks up debt like it's well, I don't know. They rack up debt like paying it off and trying to budget for it isn't even a thought. They don't even consider that half. I think what they do is they look and see what they immediately want, and then they go after that at all costs. All right. And then it's kind of like, we'll deal with the repercussions afterwards. And by the way, I don't have this video sped up. This is just the way she's talking.
The household income for just my husband and I, with his W-2 income, my W-2 income, and the business income is about $18,300 a month.
And they have $700,000 in debt. Their W-2s are showing $18,000 a month. But again, I will say, when you own a business, what sounds like a lot of money, especially with the way they're spending it, they're broke. They may bring in $18,000 a month, but I have more money than they do, and I'm a single school teacher.
A month.
A month.
And that's gross.
And that's gross. That's what we take home, yes.
Okay.
But what they're taking home, they're spending just as fast, if not faster, which is why they're racking up all the debt. Because any good business person knows it's not how much you make, it's what you get to keep.
Okay. Are you guys paying your taxes? Are you putting money aside for that? How's that working?
So, and that's the other thing. Included in the numbers I gave you that we're in debt, I'm assuming right now we probably owe about $15,000 to $16,000 worth of taxes.
Okay.
Oh, they owe 15 to 16,000. Okay, I stand on everything I've said. Yeah, you know, my heart at first was going, oh, you know, Carrie, you're being a little mean. You know, you're being a little harsh. No. I can now stand with conviction on everything I've said, from the money to the relationship to bringing in baby and the whole 9 yards. Okay? I mean, bless the child, all right? But let's put that aside. I stand on it now. They owe 15 to 16,000 to the IRS. This couple is financially careless. This couple operates without thinking. I feel sorry for the child. I would rather see a child born to a, modest school teacher couple that understands saving and debt and all of that wonder stuff and lives within their means than a couple that makes $18,000 per month and blows it all. These people have no sense of financial responsibility, and to some extent, I'm even going to say to some extent, they don't even care. They do not care. They are into immediate gratification. Like I said earlier, I was feeling like maybe I was being a little harsh. Not anymore.
Okay, that's going to go to the top of the debt snowball.
Oh, my gosh.
That's going to be the first thing you pay off is the IRS debt. And
I would like to, for the person that wrote me that said I gave them nightmares last night, I think tonight may be worse. I think tonight might be worse.
Then we're going to continue on down, smallest to largest balance. This is going to be years and years of sacrifice.
This is going to be a couple that divorces. This is going to look, and I don't, I don't run to that first. If you've watched my channel since September, since becoming a reaction channel, I don't run and say divorce for everything. I don't. Matter of fact, I think I have only said it a handful of times. But when I say it, it's because the signs are so clearly there that without some drastic shift and change in personality and spending habits and the way you think, walk, talk, yada, yada, okay, the yellow brick road is already laid out. This couple is going to be in financial turmoil. They just are.
One quick question on this. You said W-2. So this company that's got the $600,000 in debt, is that separate from your day jobs, your normal jobs?
So that's separate from our day jobs. My husband already works 14 to 16-hour days, 6 days a week, and I do the same thing on top of that. On top of that,
I'm exhausted.
that's including me managing the construction company.
Who's working for you? When you say manage the construction company and you're working 14 to 16-hour days, who are you managing?
I am managing. We have a group of. I used to have about 15 people.
This lady has a hard time giving a straight answer because she doesn't know.
Well, I cut it down to about 8.
This company's broke. Okay? They're broke. Add up the liabilities, what is it? Assets versus liabilities. This company's broke. I would tell them to shut down the company, focus on their day jobs, get their finances in check, and be good little mommies and daddies. When I got these bright lights up here, okay, these are studio lights, and man, every little gnat that ever decided to visit my place sometimes shows up. That's why I was looking up. Yeah, I mean, the company's broke. Especially if you owe the IRS $16,000. And I'll tell you something, okay? Business owners, having dealt with it, okay? As a business owner, You do not ever want to owe the IRS. I got my little cake business, and trust me, it's little. Okay? I won't even do my own taxes on it. I got an accountant to do it because I don't care. Not only that, the accountant is tax deductible, all right? But be that the case, I'm not going to find out that I was $1,000 short every year in my taxes, and 10 years later the IRS says, "Hey, Ms. Horn, you owe $10,000." And I go, "What?" And they go, "Yeah, you were $1,000 short every year." See, that's how a lot of small businesses get into tax trouble. It's not what they owe in 1 year. It's what they owe cumulatively over many years, intentional or accidental. So I have a person doing my Schedule C for me, and then I'll just fill. Oh, and then they're also going to file my regular W-2 also. But for them to be $15,000-$16,000 in tax debt, that shows just simple carelessness. This is a financially careless couple.
I weeded out the people that I feel like instead of making me money, I'm putting money to. Like,
okay, so you're like a general contractor essentially.
I'm a general contractor, yes.
And
she's broke.
And you're both working 14 to 16 hours a day.
Correct.
That leaves them 8 hours. Well, I guess they're going to be spending a whole lot of money on childcare. They better start budgeting that in. Okay, because infants are the most expensive.
Is there any collateral that you guys could sell as part of this business? Equipment? Is there real estate?
Yeah.
This is going to take a decade to get out of at this rate.
Well, I crunched the numbers, and if I put $12,500 towards the business debt, and my dad puts $12,500 towards the business debt, we'll be done in 28 months.
Wait, your dad is half partner in all of this?
Well, the 651, half of it is his. However, well, I say his rhetoric. I don't want. What's the correct word? Because at the end of the day, it's under my name. Out of that, probably only 20% is under his name. So no matter what, I have to pay.
But he's paying half. This is like a Common Core math question, Lizzie. We got to sort this all out, and I'm excited for the baby, but you're right. We got a mess on our hands. It's going to take some drastic choice.
Okay, people. Oh my God. I'm gonna love to see her as a mother. Holy cow. Look, I don't want to come across as mean and harsh and all of that, but as far as the numbers, the responsibility, the lack of communication in this relationship, this is not a relationship I would want with a baby coming in. Even if they had this debt, which they clearly have, but at least the biggest thing is, are you on the same page? Baby is coming. We are aware that we have this debt and we're going to do everything we can. But notice she said her dad has to pay part of it, but then she couldn't really give a straight answer as to what's hers. Okay. I'm going to assume most of it is hers. And honestly, this company is not successful, at least from what I can tell. All right. Wow. More nightmares. All right, folks, I'm Carrie. This is Student Loan Chit-Chat. I would like to thank you so much for joining me. I do hope you will consider subscribing. And I was going to do an after chat. I know I was going to do an after chat yesterday. I was going to do one today, but it's like 9:45, so I need to call it done. Otherwise, I start to ramble. Okay? All right. So I do hope you will consider subscribing. We'll do an after chat soon, and I will talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow. And you have a safe MLK Day and have a great rest of your Sunday night. Goodbye. Mwah.